What's up, dudes? We got a review today. Welcome back. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on Instagram, duties_daggers. And we're doing a review today of the Axial Gear Shift. This is an OTF, an automatic out the front knife. Check it out. Oh yeah, look at that really nice reflective stone-washed finish on the blade. Beautiful. So we're going to get all into it and talk about this guy right here. This is the first time I've really EDC'd an OTF knife. I've tried in the past with a few others, and I just didn't really like how they cut or felt in the hand or much of anything about them really. So I've kind of been on the hunt. I've tried multiple different OTFs, and when I saw this one, when I started kind of looking at pictures of it and kind of looking into it, I kind of figured that I would really like it for a few different reasons. It looked like it would be good ergonomically. I love the fact that you can get it in a Wharncliffe blade shape. And I decided to order one. This was about $280. Yeah, we're going to get all into it. This is a USA made OTF. You can see we have a flag milled in right there. So that's awesome. Great to carry something made in your country. Yeah, I think $285 for a USA made OTF is pretty good. So let us get into it. Let's measure this bad boy. This is around Microtech Ultratech size. We have a 3 1/8 inch blade. The handle is about 4 3/4 inch, 4.75, and then overall we're looking almost exactly 8 inches. It looks like. Let's do some size comparisons. Help you get an idea of how big it is. Spyderco PM2. This is the Wharncliffe, but it's the same size as the regular. Very close. Smaller Spyderco, Delica. There you go. How about Kaiser T1? And another OTF, the SOS OTF. A very good OTF for about $100. I'll put a link to it down below. They're at Blade Ops. Really good one right there. And let's see. Let's do two more. Let's do some random ones. Why don't we throw up the Microtech MSI? Massive. Big old knife. Big old badass knife. And let's do the Cold Steel Tough Light. There you go. All right, one more measurement we need to take, and that is the measurement behind the edge. Now, a big reason that I didn't like some of the other OTFs that I've tried is they were not slicey. And most OTFs are not that slicey. That's because OTFs need to have a certain blade stock thickness in order to be reliably fired in and out. They need to have a certain amount of thickness for this mechanism in here. It was explained to me by Daryl Caston of D-Rocket Knives. We had him as a guest on the Blade Cartel Hangout, and I asked him, why are OTFs usually not very slicey? Why can't we have just a really nice thin blade on an OTF? And he explained it to me. I'm not going to do it justice, but basically there needs to be a certain amount of thickness here for the mechanism to push on. And it makes sense when you think about it. There's a lot of pressure pushing in and pulling it back out, or pushing it out, pulling it back in. And, you can't have a super broad blade because it has to fit inside the handle. So it makes sense. But nevertheless, that was kind of my complaint with a lot of these other OTFs, mainly Microtechs. I've tried an Ultratech and an UTX 85. And both of those, I tried carrying them and using them, and they didn't cut cardboard very well. They were decent for utility cuts. Well, the Ultratech wasn't because it was a Tanto, but they didn't. I'm okay with carrying a knife for the cool factor, but it does have to have a certain amount of utility as well for me to want to carry it, right? Um, I carry some knives that are not super performance oriented, but they all at least are good cutters. And these other OTFs were not. Now this one, um, I was really hoping would cut well because I want to like this. I wanted to like this knife. And as you'll see in my cut test video, it did very well for an OTF. You know, I have other slicier knives, but this is slicey enough and cuts well enough for me to enjoy carrying it. Let's see what the measurement is behind the edge. To give you kind of a frame of reference, something very thick behind the edge would be something like a Benchmade Griptilian, a Hinderer XM18, something like 25 to 30 thousandths behind the edge is very thick. Something very thin would be, I don't know, a good measurement behind the edge for a average size EDC knife would be anywhere from like 12 to 20 thousandths is kind of 20 thousandths is kind of like the thicker of the spectrum of acceptable for an EDC knife. So let's see where we're at on this guy. We'll take 3 measurements, one back here, and we are looking at, let's see, get it right on there. Come on. 26 thousandths in the middle. 26 again. Or no, wait. Hang on. 27. And then at the tip, 26 again. So that's pretty thick, but that's not extremely thick, you know? That's definitely thick for an EDC knife, but it's not over the top. And as you will see in the cut test video, it was cutting through cardboard just fine, you know? So while that is a pretty thick measurement, and, you know, this is a kind of a skinny bevel here, you know? So there is some friction. There's a large flat area. It sliced well enough for me to be happy with it. So I'm fine with it. This thing cuts well. It's a Warncliffe, so it's going to be great at utility cuts, which is kind of a big priority for me. And yeah, I have no issues with how it cuts. So let's talk about this baby. The construction is all aluminum. This is all aluminum chassis or frame, whatever you want to call it. It's a 2-piece construction. You can see the seam right there. This is a teal colored coating on the aluminum, which I just really freaking love. This color, it jumped out at me when I was looking at it on the website, and I just had to have this color. There was a few different colors to choose from: black, white, red, you know. This looks amazing to me. I love this color so much, and it's vibrant. I don't have a lot of really vibrant knives. I really, really love the color. The switch is also aluminum. The clip, I believe, is steel, but it might be titanium. Let's see. Oh, it's titanium. Cool. And the hardware is titanium, too. That's cool. The switch probably is aluminum, but it's not magnetic, so it's not steel. That's cool. I didn't know we had a titanium clip. Very cool. The clip is really cool how they do this. It's a deep carry clip, and it's actually secured by a screw going in the butt right here. So you can see it kind of curls over and goes into a slot right here. You can see the other end of it there. And it's secured by a screw through the butt right here. So it's easily reversible. You just slide it out, slide it in, put the screw in, you're good. I think that's a really cool way to do the clip. The clip works really well too. It goes in and out of my pants well, even my thick seamed Carhartts. This goes in and out. We have a really nice flat spot right here, which makes it really nice ergonomically, you know. I'm so glad because, you know, a lot of OTFs are just not that ergonomic. So we have the switch, the clip. This is a very ergonomic OTF, the most ergonomic that I've tried, and I haven't tried a shit ton, but you know, as far as the few that I've tried, this is absolutely the most ergonomic. No hot spots whatsoever. We have the little Axial Gear kind of symbol logo deal right there, which I really love how just kind of plain and sleek this handle is. Just a little logo right there, the American flag, another logo on the clip, and that's it. Really love how clean this handle is. It's not super just rectangular either. You can see it gets a little thinner in the middle here. We have these kind of little angles here, these chamfers on either side to give it a little bit of roundness in your hand. It just looks great. It almost looks futuristic in a way. I really, really like it. Let's talk about the blade. We have a really nice reflective stonewash on it. Just beautiful, man. This is some of my favorite finishes on any knife. Just this highly reflective stonewash just is beautiful. Really, really love it. We have 3 little lines milled in here. It's kind of their signature deal. You can see that on all their blade shapes, except maybe, is the dagger have it? I don't know. Not a completely straight edge. We have a slight bit of belly right here. I love the blade shape. We have kind of these different angles here. We have a kind of a flat, and then it angles down to here. Then it kind of angles down again right to here. And we have another angle down to the tip. Look at that. Super nice. Super duper nice. No branding on the blade whatsoever except a little symbol right there. But on the spine, we do have Axial crew wear, baby. Love that. Really, really love that. The only other knife that I've seen that has the branding on the spine is the ProTech Malibu. They do the same thing. Microtech MagnaCut. I wish more knife companies would do that. It cleans up the whole look of the knife so much. Just put it on the spine. It doesn't need to be in big letters on the blade. Just put it on the spine. It's so classy. I really, really love that. The switch itself is a very low profile. This is an especially pokey one, but you can see just the difference between the SOS, OTF, and the Axial here. Very kind of streamlined switch. But the way that they have these kind of stepped milling going on here, I have no problem firing it out. I don't feel like I'm going to slip off the switch at all. Very, very nice and grippy, but not obtrusive. You can choke all the way up on this knife and not feel hindered by the switch right there, which is really, really awesome. My main complaint with this SOS knife is you can't choke up all the way because this is poking into your hand. You kind of have to go right behind it right there, and then you're kind of far away from the edge. So that's excellent. Really, really excellent. Just a very overall neutral handle. You can put your hand wherever you want. Very choked up, kind of choked up, choked back, super choked back. Doesn't matter. It's all the same. It feels all the same. So really, really, really nice. Let's talk about the ergonomics, since we already are. Just really good. We kind of already just covered it. Just no hot spots. Feels great. Super, super great. Action. This thing hasn't failed on me once. No misfires. This thing fires hard too. I don't have my Microtechs here anymore. I've sold them off. But from what I can remember, I think this thing fires a little bit harder than my Microtechs did. You can hear it slamming against whatever stop pin is in there. Really, really nice, man. It fires hard. It's not hard to, push the button, like I said. It just, yeah, it's fun, man. OTFs are not the most fidgety knives, but they are fidgety in their own way. It's just cool to push a switch and have a very sharp blade just rock it out. There's something just kind of fun about that and satisfying. Now we do have, I wouldn't say super significant rattle on the button. My UTX 85 had more rattle than this, but it's still pretty good rattle. You can hear it. Now, while it's closed, it's much less significant. In fact, it is moving, but you don't hear it at all. I can't make it make noise. So that's good. In the closed position, in your pocket, in your hand, whatever, there's no rattle, which is great. But in the open position, we do get that rattle. Every OTF I've ever tried has had this rattle, except, interestingly enough, this this SOS. No rattle on this switch. Another reason I think this is a very excellent $100 OTF. This is completely solid. Both positions. No rattle whatsoever. I've never seen that on an OTF before. Very cool. But we're talking about this knife. A little bit of rattle on the switch. Now, blade play. All OTFs have some, and this one does as well. We have side to side, a little bit of up and down. That's the name of the game. That's how OTFs are. There's only one OTF in existence that I know of that's completely solid, and that is the Hawk Deadlocks, which are very expensive. So that's just kind of what you get with OTFs. All the Microtechs have blade play. It is what it is. OTS, or the SOS here does as well. That's just how they are. So you can't really count that against it. That's just how OTFs are. That does not mean that they're not solidly locked up, however. I have not done, torture testing with this knife, but, as far as Microtechs go, at least, we have a rattly switch, we have blade play, and you can hammer them like a nail through a 2x4, and they're going to be perfectly fine. So, just because we have a little blade play does not mean that this is not a solidly locked up blade. In fact, I don't even think a liner or a frame lock would be able to do that. So, very solid. It's just something you kind of have to get used to with an OTF. That's how they are. So, overall, I think this is a really excellent alternative to a Microtech. Same kind of price range, both made in the U.S. I would say definitely more ergonomic than a Microtech. I like the finish on the blade more. I like that we don't have all the billboarding that Microtech does. I like the clip better than Microtech clips. I like the fact that it's a Wharncliffe. There are not very many Wharncliffe Microtechs unless you get like a Hellhound. There's like a version of a Hellhound that I think is a Wharncliffe, but there's really not that many. I like almost everything about this more than I do on a Microtech. I like the look of it better. It's awesome, man. I really, really am happy with this. Another really cool thing is their warranty is very good. They call it a no BS warranty. So anything breaks on it within reason, you'll send it in and they will fix it for you. Another cool thing is they don't discourage you from taking apart the knife. This is not proprietary hardware like we see on Microtechs. These are just a regular Torx. In fact, I think let's see what size it is. It looks pretty big. Or is it just a regular T8? Let's see. T8, yeah, they're T8s all around. They say, go ahead and take it apart. They don't discourage you from doing it. They say take it apart if you need to clean it, whatever, So that's great. I like to be able to take apart my knives, It's just, I like to take them apart and clean them if I need to. I don't want to have to send it in to do that. So that's great. I just think there's a lot to like about Axial Gear as a company, their knives. I can't think of really anything negative. As far as the heat treatment of this crew wear, I don't even know if I mentioned this was crew wear. We saw it on the spine, but this is crew wear blade. At least in this recent drop, they were crew wear. I think before that, they had a drop in 20 CV. And no problem with it so far. I don't know if anyone's done an HRC, hardness test on it or not. But I haven't seen any problems with it so far. These are not super readily available. Last I checked a couple weeks ago, you could still get this knife in, I think, black and blue. But the teal is all gone. I think a lot of the colors are gone now. So it's not like a Microtech where you can usually just go get one, at least the base models. They're a smaller company, so you kind of have to wait for them to make a drop. One other thing is the sharpening choil. Now, this is not a very good sharpening choil at all. You can see our bevel is already getting a little wonky up in here. I did sharpen this, by the way. So this little area up here, this smile where I'm kind of coming up onto the plunge grind was not there before. I put that there because of the bad sharpening coil, this is what happens. So I wish this was bigger. I need to take apart the knife and see if there's anything that kind of fits in this area that would prevent me from cutting in a little bit of a larger sharpening coil. Because I would like to do that on this knife, and that would solve the issue if I could just cut this out a little bit. But I don't know if there's anything inside the knife, if there's a stop pin that rests in there, or whatever's going on in here. I need to make sure that if I do that, it's not going to affect the lockup or the deployment or anything. So I need to take it apart and find that out. I just don't know yet. So, but as it comes from them, this is a bad sharpening coil. This is not good. So that's really the only negative thing I can think of. And if I'm able to make it larger without an issue, I will definitely do that, and that will solve it. So I'll keep you updated. If I take it apart and end up doing that, I'll probably make a video on it or something and let you guys know. But not the end of the world. Just I wish I had a better sharpening tool, because this one sucks, honestly. That's about it. That's the only negative I can think of. This is a badass OTF. It really is. The only one I've really enjoyed carrying. So it's cool to finally ADC an OTF. It does definitely have its benefits. Especially if you're, doing work, you need to take your knife out and do some cutting one-handed. Maybe your other hand is busy. This is just one of the better options for deployments on a knife that I can think of. Doing it one-handed quickly and easily, If you have gloves on, it's really easy. It's just a switch. Push the switch, the knife comes out, you cut something, you put it away, you put it back in your pocket. It's super duper easy. You're not pushing aside a liner lock or frame lock. You're not, getting both fingers and pulling back a bar style lock. It's just a switch. You push it and pull it. That's it. So for gloves or quick and easy deployment, this is really, I think, one of the best options. A couple myths, a couple OTF myths that we can talk about really quick, just in case you're, not super knowledgeable about OTFs. The way they fire is they're not under constant pressure in there. You have resistance as you're pushing the switch up. See what I mean? There's resistance, so you're basically pushing this spring mechanism forward. You're building up pressure, almost like your thumb would on a thumb stud knife. Think of your thumb as the spring in the OTF. You're building up pressure until you build up enough pressure to break the detent. Same thing's happening in here. You're building up pressure until you break the detent and the blade can fly out. Now, it's not under spring tension when in the open position either. To retract it, you do the same thing. Building up pressure until enough is built up that you can break the detent, the blade shoots back in. Because of this, even if you held it up to your hand or any part of your body, there's no way that it can shoot through your hand. It would probably break your skin barely. We can put up against a piece of paper. It doesn't even go through it. It made barely a small hole. If I do single thickness sheet of paper, it goes through it, but it's a single piece of paper. Your skin is much tougher. So another thing is, if it comes into enough resistance, it'll just pop off of its track. Demonstrate it with this. It stops. It doesn't keep going. It pops off of its track, and there's no spring anymore. If that happens, you just pull it out to reset it. You're good to go. So it cannot, held up to something, shoot in with any force at all. So they're really not dangerous at all in that way. I don't know why people think that's the case with these OTFs. Probably because of movies in the 80s and 90s. Who knows? But that's not a thing with OTFs, especially double action OTFs like this. So, anyways, so I don't know why they're illegal to carry in some states. I think it's a lack of understanding of how OTFs actually work. But it is what it is, and I think they're very useful and should not be illegal anywhere. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. That's the Axial Gear Shift. Please like the video before you head out. See you in the next one. Later.